I'm Scott Buttram with the Trussville Tribune, here with our news anchor, Brandon Dawkins. Brandon, it's runoff night.
It is. We've been waiting. I think Trussville's ready for this election to come to an end.
I would agree with you. I think people are just ready for it to be over with.
I think so too.
It's been a spirited race,
It has
I would
been.
say.
It has
And two candidates, both highly qualified to serve as mayor.
Right.
Both have been on the council for 8 years, Buddy Choate and Anthony Montalto, current council president. I'm hearing the turnout has been big. What are you hearing?
Well, the only thing I have to base it on is the number that I saw when I went to vote at the end of the day.
Okay.
And for that individual box was really high. So if that, if based on the number that I saw, each box were to have an equal amount of voters, that's almost as many as we had in the election in August.
Right, and let's refresh our readers and viewers' recollection that we had approximately 5,235 voters in the last election.
We did.
So we're calling that number around 5,200, 5,300. Everybody didn't vote for every race, so if you factor that in, we're probably looking at about 5,300 that voted 6 weeks ago. And one of the numbers I got a couple of hours ago was that the turnout had been approximately 4,000 votes a couple hours ago.
Which is amazing for a runoff.
It's unbelievable.
Usually runoff is what, half?
A figure I read yesterday indicated that most runoff elections are around 30%. So we would have been looking, based on the 5,300 number, we would have been looking at about 1,600, maybe 1,600 to 1,700 people. And if you're at 4,000, you're 2 hours ago, you could be pushing the same numbers you had 6 weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The polls have closed.
They have just closed, and that would have been disappointing. I feel like for a race that has gotten as much attention as this one has, that kind of turnout would have been disappointing.
The 30%.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this is a big race. Trussville has had the same mayor for 2 decades. For 20 years, Gene Melton has been in office.
That's right.
This ends an era, the Melton era, if you will, and we're starting a new one under one of these two men.
That's right.
So I'm not really surprised that it has drawn a lot of interest.
I'm not either. Expectations of either one of these gentlemen is high. They're going to have a lot on their plate to tackle because a lot has been laid out, a lot has been discussed,
Right.
and I think people are expecting a lot.
Well, the bar has been set high, and I realize that after 20 years, voters were ready for a change. And that's, that's normal. That is a very natural feeling.
It is.
2 decades is a long time for any one person to serve. But when you look at Trussville in the last 20 years, from population to commercial growth to residential growth, the amenities that have been added in terms of a school system has been created that now ranks among the best school systems in the state of Alabama in just over 10 years. It's one of the top rated systems in the state. You look at the Civic Center that has been built, Husky Parkway, you could go on and on and on. The commercial growth in the last 20 years under the Melton era is
Incredible.
staggering.
It is.
It is staggering. And it's still going on. Another major shopping center under construction on Highway 11 in front of Tutwiler right now. So it is normal for people to want to change after 20 years.
Well, and it is a major election year, and sometimes we see shakeups like that in major election years.
That's right.
And sometimes that just happens.
That's right. It's normal. But the shoes to fill are big shoes.
They are. Gene Milton has done a lot of great things.
He really has. And the next person to step into that office has a really strong standard that they've got to measure up to. And very quickly, the reasons that people wanted Melton gone, if you will, or a change, those reasons will fall away very quickly as the expectations for the new mayor kick in, and people will start saying, well, we've done this, we've done that. So this will be a challenging job for one of these men to step in. I think they're both up to the task. I really do.
I do too. And I think that what we have to remember is being mayor of Trussville, it's a full-time job. It's serious business. It's not a show up at events kind of position. It is running a major budget with a large population and a large police department and fire department, and there's a lot going on.
That's right. And you bring up the fire department. That is an issue that the new mayor will step into, a very serious issue right now. We have the fire chief and the fire marshal are both suspended or on administrative leave. There are concerns about expenditures. We don't know all the details there, but we do know the council voted last Friday morning to refer it to the Attorney General's office. The new mayor will immediately step into that situation. And that's when you're talking about any city, police and fire protection are critical. So that's a big deal.
It is.
For the mayor to step into.
It is.
We are expecting to start having numbers come in very quickly. I'm checking text. Our producers will be sending us text as the night goes on. The screen, we'll have the vote totals at the bottom of the screen. As you go through it with us tonight, we have people at each of the polling places. So they'll be texting those numbers to us just as soon as they're posted. 6 weeks ago, we started getting numbers from the Baptist Church very quickly. North Park was on the tail of those numbers. They came right in. But we had a delay waiting on the City Hall numbers that kind of kept everybody in suspense. We're hoping we don't have that delay tonight.
That's right. That's right. Because there wasn't a lot to do when you went to the poll today. One mark. That's all it took, and so you were in and out quickly.
That's right.
So
we'll bring those to you just as quickly as they come. In the meantime, we can talk a little bit about the Choate plan versus the Montalto plan, but there are some differences, but they were both focused on downtown redevelopment. That was a key thing for both of them.
And we had a hard time differentiating what the differences were in that area specifically, because they're both very pro downtown redevelopment. They want to see it move forward more aggressively.
That's right. I will tell you that on Friday, the council put $50,000 in the budget for the Downtown Redevelopment Authority to use for grants for business or property owners in the downtown sector who would like to upgrade their facades and improve their facades. So they've got $50,000 that they can use as matching funds. Mm-hmm. I think they're looking at a 50-50 match formula on most of those deals. So RDA now has some money to work with.
And we knew that was coming down the pipe.
We did. We didn't know exactly what the amount would be, but $50,000 seems to be a good starting point. And hopefully we'll start seeing some of those things kick in and move forward. I can tell you that as an RDA member, we met with a new business this week, a new eatery that is looking downtown, and so things are progressing there. There is some other news coming down the pike in the way of food locations for downtown that we can't quite announce yet, but they're coming. So the downtown, I think, will progress nicely under either of these measures.
And the existing businesses can apply too, correct?
That's correct. Well, the grant program is really, as it stands right now, it is really designed for buildings. So it would be property owners primarily that would apply. Right. Hopefully that can be extended or expanded to create some incentive possibilities for new businesses to come into the downtown sector, possibly at some point incentives for existing businesses that may want to expand their model or expand their footprint. So we want to be open to just helping create business in downtown Trussville. And right now, as I said, the funding is for the property or for the buildings itself.
And like one of the candidates said, I think everybody was surprised about the downtown block party that they had several weeks ago, and the turnout that was just in a parking lot with some food trucks and that attracted so many people. So the people in Trussville are just really interested in seeing, that develop.
That was kind of mind-boggling.
It was.
I made the comment the other day, it was thrown together at the last minute, which is totally inaccurate. That is not what happened. There was a lot of planning that went into that, but we really, and when I say we, the Downtown Merchants Association, we didn't know exactly what we were doing. We had an idea, and we wanted to try some things. The food trucks were a big drawing card. But I will tell you, we learned as big a success as we had with that first block party. We learned as a group so many things that will make the second one better. And the second one is right around the corner. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I think it may, if it's not this weekend, possibly the next.
But the group had said that they had something else in mind for October, and that there were going to be several things coming down the pipe throughout the year.
That's right. There'll be 6 to 8 of them throughout the year, and these are just going to be events to draw people downtown. They won't be the same every time. There'll be some similarities. but there'll be some differences from the last one, and we are learning from this process. I think there is a more extensive kid zone planned, a pumpkin patch type idea that'll be incorporated into the next one. I believe that will be in the big grassy area in front of the antique mall, so that'll help spread the crowd out a little bit. It'll be more of a child-friendly area. The food trucks will be spread out a little bit more this next time, or that's the plan anyway. So that group is learning with each event that they do, and it'll get better. The greatest thing about it was thousands and thousands of Trussville residents and from out of Trussville, people from Pinson, people from Clay, Argo, Springville. You saw a lot of faces from out of town that came in, but just watching people stop and visit on the street.
That's
it's really
right.
cool.
It is.
Yeah.
And food trucks are such a draw.
They are.
These
I mean,
days,
you know,
let's be honest.
we don't have
Everybody loves a
those.
food truck.
We don't have those on a regular basis at Trussville. We do hope, as downtown develops, that we can make space for them
Right.
and have them on a more regular basis. But having them for that one night was a real treat.
It is.
And we had two of the best off the hook, which is
huge.
Yeah, to get those guys to come in on our first event was a really big deal.
Right.
And then Zebby with Eugene's Hot Chicken, he's about to have a permanent brick and mortar place in Uptown.
Right.
He's going in where Bottle and Bone
Yes.
was located,
Yes.
and I'm addicted to his chicken. I'm just shameless about it. It's the greatest thing I've ever put in my mouth. And so those guys, and they had a really big night, so they're excited to come back, and they're excited to invite some of their food truck friends
Right.
to come. So hopefully they'll help us recruit some good ones to keep them coming.
We'll have that to look forward to for sure. Tell the viewers and remind me, how many boxes at each location? Do we know?
Well, you've got 3 polling places, and you've got 2 machines in each polling place,
Okay,
so
so we're
it's 6
waiting on
machines.
6 boxes.
Six, yeah, 6 machines to come in, and you know, that was a bit of a confusion last time because we immediately got 1 machine in from First Baptist. And I need to mention, County Commissioner Joe Knight is with us tonight. Well, he's disappeared. He stepped out. There he is back there. Joe was the one who caught when the numbers came in. He looked down and said, "That's not enough. That's only 1 machine." So 1 machine came right out, and it was a few minutes before the other one came. So we'll be watching for that as the totals come in. The way the process works, just so our viewers at home know, at 7 o'clock, whoever's in line gets to vote. Okay, so if there happens to be a line at 7 o'clock when the polls close, everyone in line gets to vote. They'll cut it off at 7, and everyone standing there will go in and vote. After that, they pull the tapes from each machine, and these look just like adding machine tapes. And each machine, they punch a button, and it'll spit out all the totals. It makes 2 copies. 1 copy goes to City Hall, and the other copy is posted on the door of the polling places. The 3 polling places are Trussville First Baptist,
Right.
City Hall, and North Park Church. So we have people at all 3 of those locations. As soon as those numbers are put on the door, they'll transcribe them and they'll text them to our editor, Megan Miller, who is sitting right outside our studio with her trusty adding machine. And the numbers will go on the screen, and of course we'll share them with you as well. If you can't watch and you can only listen, but we'll be verbalizing those numbers.
Right.
So you're about to take a break from the Tribune.
I am.
It's coming up. And for those of you who don't notice, because we're very creative in our cropping, Brandon is great with child, and that sucker's going to be here soon.
Yes, she is. So anytime this month even.
Yeah.
So, but maybe we'll get 4 more weeks. So we'll see.
So we will see. And so when Brandon disappears, that's where she's gone.
Yes.
She's expecting a little girl very soon.
That's right.
And she
That's
and
right.
Ryan are
We're
excited
excited.
about it. We're excited for the 2 of you.
Thank you.
And actually, the whole family, because I know the boys are excited.
They are.
to
They are.
extent.
It's starting to get real to them.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of pink things in our house recently.
So she'll disappear for a few weeks.
Yes.
And Megan Miller, our editor, who we hired away from Channel 42. Some people
Which
may
I'm
not
so
know
glad because that works
Yeah.
out great.
She has television experience,
She does.
and we hired her because she's passionate about newspapers.
That's right.
But she really bridges that gap for the Tribune between what we do with digital media
Yes, she
and what we
does.
do in print. So she is well prepared to fill in for
She
you.
is, and she's a great find. We're lucky to have her.
We are lucky to have her.
So.
We're very lucky to have her. Haven't got any numbers yet. I'm not seeing a lot of movement behind the camera. we're not looking directly at you, we're glancing behind the camera to see what's going on. But we expect those numbers will start coming in anytime. It is 7:15, so this is about the time we started getting numbers
Okay.
6 weeks ago. Hopefully they'll be coming in pretty quickly.
And I know these candidates are anxious. They've both run such hard races. They've worked really hard. Their families have been heavily involved. I know they've got to be exhausted. This has been.
I think they are.
Yes.
Emotionally and physically.
Because I mean, Anthony, he announced, or Mr. Montalto announced, how long ago now?
Typically,
This started before summer.
yeah,
Both of
typically
these
they
guys started running
campaign
before
about
summer.
6 weeks before the election, both of the candidates, and as you mentioned, Councilman Montalto, even earlier than Councilman Cho, announced probably 3 months earlier than normal.
Yes.
So they started their campaigns extremely early. And listen, both of these guys have worked at this campaign. They have not been passive. They've been knocking on doors, holding meetings, neighborhood meetings, small groups, and just getting to know the voters. And they have really pounded the pavement.
They have, not to mention they've both worked full-time jobs,
Right.
other full-time
That's
jobs while they've done this, and continue to serve in their role as councilmen, each of them. So their last, 6 to 9 months has just really been incredible.
It's been taxing. And on their families, they've both got wives and children who've helped in the campaign.
They do.
So they have to have reached the point now that win, lose, or draw, and there won't be a draw, they're ready to be done with this and get
Right.
back to their lives. And as I said, they're both very qualified and very capable, so Trussville will be in good hands, no matter what happens tonight. But it's going to be a different day.
It is, and the unfortunate part about it is we lose one of them from council.
That's right. That's right.
And so, but
and
that's the reality of the decision you have to make
You're
when you make
exactly
this
right.
kind of step. We've got some great new councilmen coming on, but we will lose one of them.
And we do have 2 new councilmen, so that'll be part of the change in the era, upcoming era. We've got Dr. Zach Steele, who is coming in. I can't remember which position each of them ran for. I think Zach Steele ran for Buddy Chuck's spot, and then Jeff Freeman, who has served as chairman of the downtown redevelopment for I think all of the last 5 years until just very recently he gave up the chairmanship, and he ran and took Anthony's spot. So both of those guys very involved with the community. Zach actually works a lot with the Tribune. He's the host of the Tribune Sports Live. And in fact, he's in his second year hosting that show with us. He has been what we call a professional columnist. We have several of those with the Tribune since we've had the Tribune. So 9 years, 8 years, 9 years he's been doing that. So our readers are very familiar with Dr. Steele. And both of those guys will do a great job. And they both bring very interesting perspectives. Zach's very involved as the father of 2 young children in the community through youth sports. Jeff Freeman works in municipal bonds. He will prove to be a very valuable asset with bond issues and city
He's a finance guy, so he's going to have a lot to bring to the table.
That's right. He's worked with other cities and other municipalities, and now he's kind of a in-house expert. So hopefully the city will take advantage of that expertise that they have on council.
That's right.
I'm a little surprised. We're not seeing anything yet. Hopefully there's nothing going on at the polls. We were worried about how much we were going to have to talk and how much we would bore you. We're not doing it intentionally. We know you're tuned into the numbers, and we're going to bring them to you as soon as we get them, but we're still waiting at this point. We're starting to get some. Okay, we're getting some attention. Guys, we can't see them on our screen. Okay.
There they go. Okay, these are city hall numbers that we're seeing first.
Okay.
Unofficial numbers they're reminding us, but right now Buddy Choate has 738, Anthony Montalto has 481. And those are the first numbers we have coming in from City Hall.
Do we know if those are both machines in City Hall?
Total machines.
Okay, those are the total of both machines. So we'll run those numbers again.
Unofficial.
And y'all pulled them off too quickly for us, guys. We're gonna
I've
need
got
to.
them 738 and 481.
481. Okay, so from that first polling place, that's quite a turn from the first election.
It is, but that's a lot lower than the number that was on the box I voted on at First Baptist Church.
Okay, so
I think we have a lot more voters coming in from other polling
I
places.
think you're right. And the demographics will change from polling place to polling place. They'll be a little different. You've got different types of families, younger families, older families, and all of these play a part in who will vote at a polling place, geographically and what they're looking for in the next leader. But just to mention, in the first election, Anthony Montalto in the first election had approximately 40% of the vote. And Buddy Choate had approximately 35% of the vote. So 5% difference in the first election between these two candidates, that left 25% with Melton. So Melton did endorse Buddy Choate.
He did.
Following the first election. Obviously, Melton's voters will make up their own mind. Some will be influenced by his suggestion and his endorsement, but most voters, like all voters, are going to make up their own mind about where they're going. Just a raw glance here, you're looking at just under 70%, or probably about 60% going for Choate. I don't have a calculator with me to run the percentages.
I do.
Let's see if we can get a total there. So just to repeat, City Hall, the City Hall boxes are in, and with City Hall only reporting, these are the unofficial results, while Brandon does the math.
That's 1,219 votes.
That's
right?
1,219. So if we take 738 and divide it by 1219, you'll get the percentage Choate has. So 738.
It's dangerous letting me do that.
Yeah, I know. 738 divided by the 1219.
0.6.
Okay, so 60%. Choate right now from City Hall has about 61%, with 39% going to Montalto. Again, the raw numbers there. Buddy Choate at City Hall, unofficial, 738. Montalto, unofficial from City Hall, 481. So we'll continue to update as we get numbers in from different polling places. Again, if you're just tuning in, I will remind you that we have someone on location at First Baptist and at North Park and at City Hall, so they're all calling those numbers in, and we'll continue to update that as they come.
Let's remind the voters, after tonight's election, the new mayor begins, what's his first day?
I think it's in November.
I think it's November,
We've
too.
we've got County Commissioner Joe Knight is here with us, so when you see us look off camera, we're looking for a little election expertise. Is it November 7th? I think that's what I had in my mind.
But early November.
When is
So
the presidential election? Because that may be
November 8th.
That may be the date running around in my head. But in November, I do believe,
Okay.
is when we'll.
So not a
do
lot of
that
time.
swap
They're going to get to work quickly. And we've done some pieces with Mayor Melton since the loss in August, and may do some more with him before
Right.
November. And he has already said, I know he said in a piece that I did, that he is going to walk them through the process. He's
Right.
not going to just, hand them the keys to the office, and that he's going to answer questions and be available.
Right.
And unlike his predecessor, Trussville was a different place then, and now it's just too big to do that. And so
Right.
we appreciate, and I know these gentlemen will appreciate him being available to answer questions as he hands things over. I think that's going to be really important.
It was kind of funny.
Okay.
Gene said he called on the guy he replaced, and I don't know who that was. And the guy
Was
said,
it Grover?
it may have been, who said, "Here's the keys, it's yours."
Yeah,
and walked
you
out.
wanted to be mayor. Here
You
you
wanted to
go.
be mayor. Now you're mayor. So he said he would not do that. He would help, whether it's Councilman Anthony Montalto or Councilman Buddy Choate, that he would do.
And he's that kind of
whatever
guy,
he could. He is. And listen, there's records of everything the city does. Lynn Porter is our city clerk. She does a great job of keeping up with
She does.
everything. But there's 20 years of knowledge stored in his head. And whoever steps into that office needs to be able to access and tap that knowledge when they need it.
Absolutely.
For the good of the citizens of Trussville, we need to see a smooth transition. I see nothing on the horizon from any of these two candidates or from Mayor Melton that would lead me to believe otherwise. These are good people.
They
These are
are.
quality people.
They are.
And they're going to put the city first, and they're going to work together. I'm absolutely confident
I
of
am
that.
too.
My phone is buzzing over here, and I don't know if it's information I need. No, it is not information I need at this point. And friends who are texting me, I'm busy. I'll get back with you.
We're
but I'm
working.
busy right now. We're trying to track this down. So just to repeat, the numbers we think you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, you want to hit the video on your monitor just so we might have a ballpark idea of what our viewers are seeing. The numbers that you will be seeing at the bottom of your screen, those represent the City Hall ballots, okay? Those are both machines. Our understanding is those are both machines reporting from City Hall. Again, these are unofficial results. Buddy Choate with 738 votes and Anthony Montalto with 481 votes.
And it looks like we have more numbers coming in.
Yeah, we're now being told additional numbers are coming in, so we'll report those as soon as we see them. Bear with us.
November 7th is correct.
Okay, and we just confirmed November 7th is when the new mayor will take over here in Trussville.
And I
and
think
new
that's the
city
day
council.
before the presidential election.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a Monday.
Exactly.
So it would start that week, and then the very next day we'll elect a new president for the first time in 8 years. And
Okay, so new totals.
where are these from, gentlemen?
City Hall and First Baptist.
Okay, we now have the First Baptist numbers.
So are the top ones City Hall?
This is First Baptist, this is the total, sorry.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so from First Baptist Church, we have Choate with 1,297 votes, and we have Montalto with 861 votes. So we're going to give you the total. Again, let me go from the First Baptist Church, Choate with 1,297, winning that polling place, and Montalto with 861. So Brandon, you want to do the totals?
Yes,
This is
right
the
now,
total.
this is unofficial totals with 2 polling places in all boxes from both polling places. We have Buddy Choate at 2,035 and Anthony Montalto at 1,342. So let me give you those numbers again. Buddy Choate is at 2,035. Anthony Montalto is at 1,342. Those are the total numbers combined from the boxes at City Hall and First Baptist Church. We're still awaiting North Park.
We're still waiting North Park, and this is a pretty huge departure. This is a pretty huge departure from what we saw 6 weeks ago.
It is. Let's give the percentages on that total like we did earlier.
Okay, can you, let's see.
I got it.
Okay, so it'll be,
So 2,000.
it'll be 2035 divided by 3377. I've got the total.
Oh, you got the total. Okay.
Right, 3377.
2,035 divided by. If my
30.
sister's watching, she's having a good time.
She's a
watching me
math
do that.
teacher,
So
isn't she?
Buddy's hanging.
He's
good at
maintaining
math.
the same
He's hanging
percentage.
at
Yeah.
60. It's 60%.
60%,
With Anthony at 40.
right.
Some major boxes still coming in from North Park.
Yeah, North Park's a big number. That's
It
going to
is.
include the Carrington neighborhood, Stockton,
It
a lot of
is.
young families there, so we'll see how that comes in. Right now, you're looking at a vote difference of roughly 707. I did that in my head and without my 9-year-old's help,
And I wanted to put,
which is a bad idea.
I wanted to remind our viewers how that breakdown looked in August between.
693, I'm sorry, I went backwards with that. So it's a 600, almost a 700 vote difference right now as we await the numbers from North Park. Let me run down the totals again. You should be able to see them on the bottom of the screen, but if you can't see it, you're just hearing us. Choate with 2,035, and Montalto with 1,342. Again, Choate, 2,035, Montalto, 1,342. So,
And in the main election in August, the first election, Montalto was ahead in that one, followed by Buddy, then Gene. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's correct.
obviously. So his endorsement may have played a big part in this, from the numbers we're seeing so far.
it really, it appears that it has made a major difference here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not seeing any signal from them, so we are waiting on North Part. Now, one thing I want to mention, we waited a long time on the City Hall numbers
We did.
last time, and those came in really quickly this time. So we're seeing about 2,000 voters, just actually about 1,100 or about 2,100 voters, somewhere in that ballpark, coming from the First Baptist Church.
Over 1,200 from City Hall.
Yeah, about 1,200 at City Hall.
Putting us, like you said, at 30.
We're hearing 60-40 at North Park, but we don't have the numbers, same one leading, same one trailing.
Buddy,
So
okay.
we don't have the numbers yet, but we are hearing that North Park appears to be falling in line with First Baptist and with City Hall.
At a 60-40 split.
Yeah.
And the turnout is gonna be as high, if not higher than we expected. If we're already at 3377, you and I were really looking at 4,000 voters coming in at least.
Right.
So I think that we're gonna hit that for
This,
sure.
if North Park comes in about where we expect, I've got to say, this is one of the more spectacular turnouts I have seen for a runoff ever. Typically, if you draw 30 to 50% of the voters that you drew in the first election for a runoff, 30% is normal, 50% is considered good. Brandon, we're approaching almost the same number.
We are, which is really amazing.
Yeah, with a shot
Which
of
is
running
good,
over.
good for
You
Trussville,
know,
I mean.
So yeah, congratulations to Trussville voters. You guys got back out and voted in this runoff.
Yes, it's important.
Yeah, and you took it seriously. This is a big time changing of the guard in Trussville, to go from a mayor who has been there 20 years and overseeing, regardless of how you feel about Gene Melton, the growth of Trussville under his leadership is staggering.
Oh, yeah.
You grew up here. It was a sleepy little town for most of your life, and Trussville's,
Pizza Hut and Taco Bell.
yeah, and now you're talking.
It's so different.
We're approaching the 20th largest city in the state.
That's right.
It is a place people are moving to because people want to live here. Our property values are outstanding. We offer great amenities. It is, as I tell people, I moved here temporarily 16 years ago.
Right.
And it took about 6 months to look around and say, I don't want to leave this place.
And
It is special.
And you and I have discussed a million times having these three new, 3 elementary schools total now, feeding into our middle and high schools. It's just huge for this community. Anybody
is.
that overlooks that is a fool. I
But
mean, that's just, it's
you're right.
important.
It's a great,
hugely important.
well, the schools are the drawing card, and our kids their scores just rise every year. It's amazing. You and I both have children at Cahaba in elementary school. I can't think of any place I would rather my children be right now.
Me neither.
So, we've got to remember Gene Melton. You give him credit or you blame him for a lot of things, and I'm sure there's enough to go around. But he was sitting in that chair when these things happened.
That's right.
And he's on his way out. It's time to start remembering and appreciating what he did do.
Absolutely.
And giving him the respect he deserves for that. We are still awaiting North Park. Brandon, you want to go over the total again one more time?
Of course. So we're looking at our total right now from First Baptist and City Hall, 2,035 for Buddy Choate, 1,342 for Anthony Montalto. That's a 60-40 split, almost exactly, right now, for a total of 3,377 voters.
Right. Another factor to look at here, as we look at the vote totals from 6 weeks ago, the percentages.
Right.
Anthony was at 40%. Anthony Montalto had 40% of the vote, and he led going in
He did.
to the runoff. He still got 40%.
So his people stuck with him.
His people
for
stuck
sure.
with him, but it looks like Choate has picked up
The Milton
all
voters.
of the Melton voters.
It does.
Because, as I said, Montalto remains at 40%. Choate, which was at 35%, you can combine Melton's 25% and
You're 60,
you're at 60,
you're 60, 40
and
split.
the Choate voters showed up in mass,
They did.
and evidently so did the Melton voters, and they came over and voted in
And we
huge
really
numbers.
didn't know if they would,
You know.
how that was gonna go. If
You
they
never
really were, Gene stepped out there quickly
Right.
behind Buddy. It was a little surprising,
Right.
honestly. And, how much influence that would have, but it obviously, well, whether or not those voters would take time
Right.
to show up again.
Well-
But obviously, they felt like it was important enough to do so.
It was surprising, and I will confess that we had talked about it here at the Tribune, eventually approaching Mayor Melton and asking him, are you planning to endorse either of these candidates? We were completely caught off guard when one of the television stations interviewed him, and by chance, that was not the purpose of her interview, but she's a
Right.
smart reporter, and she did ask. And then we immediately got a call saying you need to talk to Mayor Melton. That I think it was within 24 hours.
It was.
He
It was
came right
quickly.
out and endorsed Choate, said that he felt like Choate had Trussville's best interest at heart, and that he wanted to go ahead and throw his
And he
support
highlighted
behind
the
him.
things that Buddy had been involved in so far on the council.
Right.
He felt like that was really important, the different liaison roles that he had played to
That's
different departments, so.
And we need to address this. We had a story in the Tribune on our website last night about campaign financing in this race. Anthony Montalto's campaign was extremely well financed.
It was.
He spent more money on this campaign than he would have earned in the first year as mayor. Between them, they did. He spent over $60,000. I believe it was $63,000 on this campaign. Buddy Choate spent about $24,000. So, or no, less than that. I'm sorry, probably about $21,000. But from a financial standpoint, Buddy Choate was severely outgunned.
He was.
And it didn't help.
No.
It may have mattered in that first election. There was also a lot of funding coming in from outside of Trussville.
There was.
And that was one of the things we talked about that in the article. I don't know if that concerned voters. You can look at that two ways and say money outside of Trussville invested in Anthony because they wanted to invest in Trussville and they thought his leadership would be good. But when it gets into the 25,000 mark, you start to wonder if they're expecting something else out of a candidate to show them favor as they
And they
take
obviously
on.
think things going on in Trussville are important enough to be paying that kind of attention.
That's right.
And giving that kind of funding to our mayoral race.
You do.
I think
You
that was
do.
the first time that's happened here.
I don't, in the races we've covered, I have never seen that kind of money come in. About 15,000 in PAC money, 17,000 in PAC money coming in for Montalto, and about, I believe it was 1,000 came in from PAC money for Choate. I don't know if voters were comfortable with that. That's a lot of money. In addition to that, Montalto had a in-kind donation from the National Realtors Association out of Washington, D.C. to the tune of almost $12,000. And, people could get a little uncomfortable with that kind of money coming into a local election.
And we saw, it was easy to see in your mailboxes where they were spending it. They produced a lot of, direct mail, high quality pieces that some of us got 1 and 2 times a week.
Yeah, there was.
And those are expensive.
Yeah, highly produced, and it was a very, very, very well-run, high-quality campaign. Both men ran a great race.
They did.
In terms of spending, Montalto outspent Choate 3-1.
They did.
And as we see the numbers coming in, the money wasn't the difference. It wasn't enough in this race. So we're still. I hear a buzz back
I
there.
do too.
Okay, we have the
North Park numbers are in. Okay, Buddy Choate with 832 of the votes from North Park, and Anthony Montalto with 544 of the votes from North Park.
Okay, so it continued the 60-40. We're doing the math here as we go, folks. So if you want
So we're looking at over 4,700 voters that
Yeah.
turned out today, 4,753, if all of these numbers are correct.
Yeah. That's going to be just short of the turnout 6 weeks ago, but it is
But not by much.
incredibly
That is
impressive
really, it is.
for the voters of Trussville. Trussville, we have a new mayor. Councilman Buddy Choate will be the new mayor of Trussville after Gene Melton has led the city for 20 years. Councilman Choate has been on the city council for 8 years. He is very well prepared. 30 years as an executive with Wood Fruitiger. He will be retiring from that job.
He will.
And so he'll leave a career of 31 years, I believe, and take over as the full-time mayor of Trussville in November. So it's a good day for Trussville, and I think we've said all night that we're in good hands with both of these guys. I think Buddy Choate will do an exceptional job.
I think so too. And right now we're looking at just the total from all three polling places. Buddy Choate with 2,867 votes and Anthony Montalto with 1,886 votes.
And I think we're going to find that follows with the 60-40 split. It's a little strange. I've lived in Trussville for 16 years, and I've never known any mayor except Anthony Montalto. Again, you grew up in Gene Melton. You grew up here. You've seen different mayors, but I bet after 20 years, it's a little strange for you too.
Right, it is. It is. It's hard to think about for sure. And I mean, I was, like you said, I was a kid then before Gene became a mayor. So he's really the only one I remember as a young adult.
Yeah.
Watching lead this city.
And you went to school with his daughter.
I did.
Grew up with her. Both of y'all were high steppers.
We were, and Jamie campaigned hard for her dad, and then she threw her work behind Buddy Choate after the August election. Maybe some of that made a difference too.
Yeah,
So.
and y'all talk behind each other's back. You don't know this, but you have told me about her behind her back that she was the head high stepper,
She was.
and she has told me behind your back that you were the class beauty queen.
Oh, what? That's not true.
That's Jamie's story, not mine.
That's completely
So
untrue.
it's funny to hear these stories and know you guys all grew up together
Yes.
and knew each other and ran around together. So again, Trussville's got a new mayor. We've I don't know if we still have producers back there. Is anybody paying attention to us? Chris is waving his hands. Chris, is this all?
They
Is
do
this
have
everything we're
the final
expecting?
numbers, which I was one off, shocker, and they have it 1977. So, okay, these final numbers are still showing Buddy Choate at 2,968, Anthony Montalto at 1,977.
Okay, we're gonna try to pull those percentages real quick. Let's say it's
So if we've got
2,968. And
4,945
that
voters.
is
So
just
that is a great turnout, Trussville.
that's 290. And I'm trying to do this in my head, which is a
And
mistake.
I think that's 58%, if I did that correct.
Yeah.
Buddy Choate with 58%.
Okay, what was Choate's total?
2,868.
2,868?
And Anthony Montalto,
You're right, that's gonna be 58%.
38% for Anthony Montalto.
So Buddy Choate takes the mayor's race here in Trussville with 58% of the vote. Montalto comes in with 32% of the vote.
No, 38.
32%.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't think there's a lot left for us to say at this point. It was a hard-fought race. Congratulations to both men. Congratulations to the Trussville voters. They almost matched the total
They
that
did.
voted 6 weeks ago. That's remarkable.
It is.
And I gotta say, Brandon, at 58%, 32%, 42%. Okay, so 58 to 42%. That's pretty close to a mandate.
It is.
That's a strong showing by Buddy
is.
Choate. So he goes in with the heavy support of the people of Trussville, and a new council, at least 2 new councilmen, so, things all start fresh November 7th.
They do. Thanks so much for joining us, and are we wrapping?
I think
it
we're
up?
ready to wrap it up, and
Okay.
we do thank you for joining
Thanks for
us,
joining
and,
us.
we'll be back soon.
We will. Good night.
Good night.